as I understand, you're playing Mozart Sonata in F major. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How long have you been playing this piece?
For 3 months.
For 3 months? That's great. Well, let's hear it. Thank you. I will interrupt you here so we have more time to work. Wonderful job, and I think it's a very, very good piece for you. What I would like to want you to think about is a lot of things about your quarter notes. What I mean, we have our quarter notes and melodies, right? And we have our quarter notes in places like this. And we have our quarter notes in places like this. And then we have our quarter notes in places like this. Right? And then in places like this. So why I'm pointing out all of these different quarter notes for you? It is because when we're dealing with composers of a particular era and a particular genre, we need to like Mozart or Haydn or Bach or Beethoven are more recognizable with their style because we tend to play the text, the musical text that they have written in a certain way. When we're dealing with Mozart, we need to have a certain idea of how do we play each type of notes that he wrote. What I mean, you played these quarter notes very short, as if they were marked staccato, but they're not. And yes, Mozart put 2 staccato marks. Like I'm using a Baron Reiter Urtext edition, where There's no any editor's marks, only what Mozart put on the page. So I only have 2 staccato marks on these 2 third notes. I mean, yeah, only 2 thirds. Which means that technically you should not be playing these quarter notes, all that. Yeah, Brian, you have the same edition that I have.
Yes.
Technically, you should not be going. You should not be doing that because it's not written this way. It has to be. The quarter notes have to have their volume and their length. They need to sound like a note that doesn't have what? Doesn't have a rest after each of them. Because, for example, later in the movement, you have this moment where the difference between right hand and left hand is defined by the length of the note. The right hand is 8 notes with the rest, right? And we need to listen to those rests between those notes, while the left hand goes. It's they kind of plump. They have to be like kind of fatter notes because they're quarter notes. So the whole point of what I'm saying at the moment is you need to realize and understand and pay attention when you're playing the quarter notes versus when you're playing the 8th notes, and give your quarter notes the proper value and only make them short when they are marked so, because otherwise you're gonna be shifting the character quite a bit. And some people may say, oh, but some people interpret it this way or that way or this way. Yes, some people could play the quarter notes shorter, but then they would play them shorter everywhere. So there would be one sense of style throughout the piece versus like one part of it played this way, another part of it played that way. And I understand in our today's conversation in this 30 minutes, it's probably impossible for you just to play through and reverse everything at once because there are many things to think about. But the main thing I want you to remember is think about your style and circle all your quarter notes that are without any markings, and try to find a unifying way of playing them where we would hear that they're long, that they're quarter notes, that they don't have rests in between them, and that they are supporting as your bass line what's going in the right hand. Okay. Second thing that I would like to address is the way you play accents, the way you play your sforzandos and anything that is loud. I understand you want to get the loud and kind of significant volume from the instrument, but sometimes it is sounding a little too aggressive for Mozart, not because you're doing it too strongly, but because when you're playing the chord down, let me put, when you put the chord down, you need to make sure when you play it loudly and you apply a lot of strength, you need to make sure your elbow goes a little bit to the side at the moment when you reach the keys, because otherwise, see, if I'm locking my elbow and going, it sounds very aggressive. But if I go and I kind of release, it sounds like a more prolonged note, and it doesn't sound like an instant hit. So with Mozart, you need to try to avoid the instant hits. You need to make the chords full, but not aggressive, not metallic, right? And so using your elbows to put them on the sides the moment you play the chord is a very good way to avoid aggressiveness in your fortes. Another thing that I would like to tell you is contrasts. In today's day and age, everything around us so loud. When we play video games, the soundtrack is very loud. When we go to the movies, the soundtrack is very loud. When we are going to the pop concert or listening to our favorite group or favorite artist, everything is very loud. What happens then is when we start playing the instrument, we think that we are the most impressive and the most profound and sound the most serious when we play loud. And with the type of music that we are playing as a classical music, it's not true. Classical music sounds the best when it provides variety, when it provides a lot of contrast, and it provides a lot of definition between when you're playing soft and when you play loud and when you play everything in between. So the bigger difference you can make when you're playing your, for example, the softer you can go, the more impressive, the following a loud episode more impressive would sound, and vice versa. That lyrical episode also needs to be much more transparent, and it's something that you just have to think about it and make it a task. It's not all that difficult to make and make it work. You just need to remember. Okay, why don't you start one more time from the beginning? And for now, just trying to not play your quarter notes too short and trying to play the soft episodes as soft as you can to provide a better contrast to the loud parts. Thank you. That was much better. Let me tell you a couple. That was much better. Let me tell you a little thing. When you see grace notes, which are these embellishments, grace notes are still part of the melody. The reason they are so small is because, yes, they're fast, but they still have to be processed as a part of the melody. So please do not mush them together in one kind of fuzzy thing. Try to sing them out. See the line they are creating. Technically, they are going around the F or then later around the other notes, but it's something that it embellishes the F and makes it more pretty. So it's rather on the elegant side rather than you know. So take a little bit more time and a little bit more care for these little notes. Okay. Good. Would you like to start one more time from? Bless your heart. And do not forget to make your quarter notes a little bit longer. They're in this section became way too short. A little bit more plump, a little bit more weight on them. Go ahead. Think about a choir of people singing together. Some people are singing bass line, some people are singing a tenor line, some people are singing alto line, and some of them are singing soprano line. If all of these people would be singing together, it would be much harder for them to separate the notes and sing right? They would sing so when you see chords that are written in such disposition as if could be sang by the choir, imagine a choir. Because separating them kind of takes away a lot of poetry from that and a lot of beauty, and also it's much harder to make a phrase out of separated chords compared to. Try it out. Very nice. Yeah, keep going. When you have the octaves in the left hand, if you don't give proper weight to your right hand, we're not going to hear it well. And also, do not rush on your right hand. It's not a place to be super fast. You need to make the left and the right hand sound equal. So, do not rush the 16 notes. Try that one more time. That was better. Try one more time and give, among the three notes in the right hand, give the top note the most weight.
Richard, do it?
Yeah. Okay. Keep going. Okay, think about, my dear, think about this. This is rather a melody, right? And this is not a melody, right? How would you describe what left hand is doing?
What's it called?
Well, let's call it an accompaniment. Let's call it an accompaniment as a left hand, like could be something that you could play on the guitar to taka 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 and accompany somebody who's singing, right? So, as any accompaniment, the good rule of a good accompanist is what? Do not play louder than the person you accompany, right? So what we need to make sure, our left hand accompanies right hand properly, which means it is not too loud. At the moment, the ratio you're having is much more towards the left hand. So I hear, which is a little bit crooked, the opposite direction that what we want. What you need to make sure, you need to have your left hand as light as you can, and to make your right hand shine. So try to withhold your left hand a little bit, and do not give it all the strength that you have throughout both hands. Okay, why did you rush on the chords? Why did you rush on the chords? You have a very good tempo. This is not the place to rush. When we end a big section of the piece, it's even better to take a little bit of time and separate these chords a little more, rather than try to finish them faster. You understand? Also, in that left hand, do you play at the end of every second measure? Did you change those notes? Because I couldn't hear very well from here. Right? No? If you have the score, when you play here, the left hand is changing. So it's a little bit further down. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, make sure you don't miss that. It's very easy. It's very easy to overlook when you look on the page, because it looks so similar. And then in the chords afterwards, once you reach here, see you have sforzando on E. It's a bigger chord, and the other two are much lighter, and then bigger. Would you progress, please? Would you play the middle section?
Wait, the.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about, there is a very, very interesting thing that we have to understand. We have something called sforzando, right? Sforzando is an accent, that is a sudden accent that happens, right? But we understand the difference between sforzandos depending on when they are happening. Here, you are having a section that is supposed to be played soft. It's marked piano, right?
And again.
First of all, I mean, it seems like only the next to last sforzando on the page is Mozart's, and the other ones are added by editors, but we're not gonna discuss editions at the moment. It's too broad of a topic. Let's say we're doing all of these sforzandos, and we are in the piano. So we cannot play our sforzandos with the force and with the volume that we would do, for example, one line above. So when we're playing in the soft section, we cannot go. It's too much, because it's as if you're in a normal conversation. Suddenly screaming, right? When you imagine you are whispering something to somebody. I want to show you this thing, right? You would make an emphasis where your word would still stand out, but it would still within the volume of whispering. So this is exactly what is happening here. We need to make an emphasis, but a gentle one, not aggressive one. Okay? And when you get here, the next section is piano again, and you have to hold yourself so well. Before the piano comes in, because if you already starting playing kind of loud, once the accent of forte comes, it doesn't sound nearly as impressive as if you hold. Right? So understanding how the contrast works and really planning it is something that you have to think about. Now, let's think about the planning. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 measures of the same type of dynamic change we have. Right? If we play that exactly the same, it will get boring about halfway. And it's inevitably going to be this way because it's going to be repetitive. Now, how can we make this more interesting without changing much? Because we don't have really a lot of things to change here. We have pianoforte, 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 pianoforte. What's going on? What's changing? The harmony is changing, right? So within the progression of notes that we have, this is, I'm going to play the progression of notes that are just forte. Right? So if you think about that, the chords that are wider, they would get more volume just because they're wider. But if you also add a little bit of volume there, that would create a few separate waves within that passage. It would go. And then if we think that we are having imaginary little crescendo, and then kind of, and then, right? So there will be like a few separate waves that would provide a little more of the inner development in that passage that otherwise may sound boring because it's repetitive. So do not give your best forte on the first C minor chord. Does that make sense? Yeah, so you will still make the difference between forte and piano, just your fortes would be for each chord a little bit different. Okay? And also I noticed in the double third passages, 2, 3, 2, 3, give those rests their full length. Do not cut them short. It's better in here even to stretch them a little bit to make your listeners wait. Make them wait, especially since the harmony is changing. First one is major, and then you wait, and then it's minor. And then it's more full, but again, not too aggressive. Again, wait. And after that one, you should probably wait the most. Do not jump back in. 2, 3. Okay. And it's a good thing that Mozart is wonderfully writing his sonatas, and that so many things are in the repeat, in the recapitulation are the same, just in the different key. So everything that we worked on in the development and in the exposition basically applies to the repeat as well. So I'm sure you will be able to work on the same things in the recapitulation. Okay. Nice job, and thank you. It was a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. That was wonderful. Wonderful performance and even more wonderful lesson from Asia. If our audience and Sophia, if you miss anything, it's always going to be on replay on YouTube, so you can check it out and review some of the things that Asia said. She gave us a lot of information. All right, so with that, I will remove Sophia from the room, and it's just us. Oh, wow. And thank you so much again for really giving your time. We went 15 minutes over. And thank you so much for being so dedicated and so just really serious about giving the information and really making sure that the students get it and our audience get it. So really appreciate all your insights.
If you're doing something, you have to do that seriously. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I think we come to an end of today's episode. If our audience want to check out Asia's future concert schedule, her recordings, everything, it's on her website on asiakurapanova.com. She also has a wonderful Facebook page, lots of followers, lots of fans. You can follow her there as well. For our masterclass, if you want to be a performing student, for the future masterclasses, go to our website at thepianoleague.com/pianostar or /masterclass. Remember, the classes in May will stop being free. So this is your last chance to sign up for the remaining April classes that are free. So make sure that you check that out. And be sure to check out our showcase as well, a wonderful opportunity for kids aged 7 to 12 to perform, and there are little competition elements as well. Deadline is in a week. You only have to play one piece. So apply. And last but not least, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more piano education and fun content. All right. So with that, we finished today's episode. Piano Leaguers, happy practicing, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.